Welcome to CP Radio. CP Radio is a podcast produced by Connecting Point. The podcast is designed for IT professionals to show real-world solutions to IT problems. The podcast is not sponsored by any vendors, and the information expressed in the podcast is part industry best practice and part real-world experience. It's copyright 2022, and all rights are reserved. Today's topic is Microsoft Defender, and our guest presenter live from balmy Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 78 degrees in the sun, is Mr. Josh Holbein. And I'm Dan Durkee. Hey, Vance, are you doing anything with Defender right now?
Let me unmute.
Whoop, unmute there. You were unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yes, using Defender on a lot of my laptops or a lot of my nodes.
Okay. So really, this is what we're going to do is just have Josh kind of present some highlights of what Defender does, a little bit of how we set it up. And, I'm guessing did you set it up for your guys' clients?
Yes.
Okay. Did you use like a best practice document from Microsoft or anything?
I did not really. I just went and it was by guess and by golly.
Okay.
It's when
we're done,
I go and do some checking and just make sure that it's working and then scanning and doing whatever it needs to do.
Okay. When we're done, I'll send you a couple of screenshots. Josh has passed a majority of the certifications for Microsoft Defender, and actually for all Microsoft products, he is like the Microsoft guru, and he put together. What's that?
Maybe I should hire him.
There you go. I doubt if he'd move up to the cold hinterland back up to Bismarck.
Good.
So anyway, all right, let's get going. Mr. Josh, talk to us about Microsoft Defender.
All right, sounds good. Well, so first off, it's definitely not 76 out here, so I don't know where you're getting that information from.
Maybe I was wrong.
But so we'll get into it here. So with Exchange servers mostly becoming a thing of the past, we need a way to further protect our cloud-hosted communication environments. Attacks are growing more sophisticated, and Microsoft offers enterprise-class offerings to detect, protect, and train against attack campaigns that can bring your business to a halt. But before we get into that, here's an introduction of me. So as Dan said, I'm Josh Holbein, not Jeremy. I'm the Cloud Solutions Architect Engineer here at Connecting Point. I started at Connecting Point in November of 2019, and my specialties are Exchange Online migrations, SharePoint migrations, Azure Active Directory migrations, Microsoft 365 tenant security, pretty much anything with Azure. All my certifications are listed there, and the two I'd like to highlight are the Microsoft 365 Enterprise Administrator and the Azure Solutions Architect Expert. These are the highest level of certification that you can earn with Microsoft in these respective areas. So that is my background here. Let's go ahead and get into the Defender. So what is Microsoft Defender for Office 365? Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection is a service that takes protection of your cloud-based email to the next level. It was first available in 2015 as an add-on for Exchange Online Protection, and it was formerly known as Advanced Threat Protection, which is now the Defender for Office 365. Microsoft likes to change their names on stuff seemingly every other month. So if you're viewing this in 2 months, it probably has a different name. It includes 3 major components of it, which are safe links, safe attachments, and anti-phishing protection. So
Vance, did you set all of those up?
I've got anti-malware, and I think I've got some contact filtering set up.
Okay. So yeah, we'll talk. I'm down in Watertown, but we'll talk when this is over, maybe Friday or Monday, and I'll give you a couple of best practice things.
Awesome.
So the differences here we can see between the Exchange Online Protection and the Advanced Threat Protection or Microsoft Defender for Office 365 plan. Here are their features. Exchange Online Protection includes your connection filtering, your anti-malware, some mail flow rules, and content filtering. So what Vance was saying is you've basically enabled the stuff that is built into the Exchange Online. With the Defender for 365 takes it a step further and gives you safe links, safe attachments, and anti-phishing capabilities. Each of them do a different job, but they work together to provide the best possible security for your business. So now we're going to go into more in depth with the features. The first one is just going to be safe links. It provides time-of-click verification of URLs and email messages and Office documents. It provides ongoing protection and applies fully across messaging and Office environments, including Outlook, Teams, Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents. The safe links remain accessible while malicious links are dynamically blocked. So here's how it works. The Safe Links protection is ran after an email passes through all of the Exchange Online protection features. At the time the user clicks on the link, Microsoft rewrites and checks the URL. It does this so any previously set safe links cannot be rewritten by the attacker. And it checks this URL against the entire database of Microsoft safe links. I'd find it hard to believe that someone would have a bigger database than what's available to Microsoft. And this is applied to Office 2016 or newer desktop and mobile apps as well. The next one that we're going to talk about is the safe attachment, and this checks email attachments on incoming messages. It opens the email attachment in a virtual sandbox environment before the user receives it. When it's open in that sandbox environment, the behavior of the attachment is analyzed, and it looks for suspicious behavior such as trying to write to the registry or download malicious software. So any code that could potentially be disguised as a PDF is opened in this virtual sandbox environment and executed, and then it's determined if it's safe or not. And this helps with day one attacks or 0-day attacks because it's checking for behavior issues instead of looking for known signatures. These are some options you can do with safe attachments.
Just one second. Hate to interrupt you, Jeremy. Vance, there's a pretty simple way to know if you have these enabled.
Okay.
If you're getting emails for the safe link, if you're getting emails that have a super long string that has replaced a link in your email, then you have safe senders safe links turned on. And if you're getting attachments that are, if you're getting emails to you that it says something to the effect of the attachment has been removed because Office is checking if it's safe, then you're getting the safe attachments.
I think I've got both turned.
All right. Sorry, Josh.
No problem. So going into the safe attachment delivery options, these are the options that you can choose. So you can set it up to monitor, which doesn't block anything. This would inform you what's going on with your network. You can set it to block the entire message. You can set it to replace the attachment with a notification. Or the one that we recommend is dynamic delivery. The message is delivered without the attachment, and if the attachment is a PDF or an Office document, it can be previewed. Once the attachment is marked safe, it is attached to the message like normal. So when you get an Outlook item, you'll get, in place of the attachment, you'll get that notification there that the ATP scan is in progress. And then once it's completed, then it will be available. It can take a little bit longer for the emails to be delivered because it has to take the scan, but it's not a significant amount of time, and it makes sure your environment is safe. So those couple extra minutes or seconds even is definitely worth the wait on that. So the last one that we're going to get into is the advanced anti-phishing protection, and this is probably the most powerful feature on this. So you're asking yourself why you might need this. 33% of workers polled in the United States are unable to divine what phishing is. So how can you trust that they'll be able to recognize a phishing attempt if they're not even sure what one is? In 2019, 90% of data breaches were attributed to successful phishing attempts. IBM reported last year the average cost for a breach was $3.86 million US, and phishing isn't something that's going away. You need to protect yourself, your users, and your business. If you can't trust the user, the advanced anti-phishing takes the controls out of their hands and stops stops the phishing attack before it even gets to their email, before they even have a chance to click on it. So what it does is it applies machine learning modules combined with impersonation detection algorithms to protect commodity and prevent spear phishing attacks, which is a lot of big words, but that's the definition from Microsoft. So how it works is it applies the policies that are defined and set up by the global administrator. It can protect a single user, a group of users, the entire domain, or all three at once using multiple policies. You can really get granular provided by the controls on levels of priority, different settings for impersonation detection, spoofing detection, and aggressiveness of the detection algorithm. So we would recommend starting with the basic setting is just 1, because the advanced anti-phishing has the capability of flagging quite a few false positives, so you can set how aggressive or non-aggressive you want this to go. So we recommend starting at level 1, and this blocks most things. I personally haven't seen an environment where you would need to up it, but you have the ability to go up to level 4. The only, again, downside with that is you may be getting false positives, and it would require more administrative effort to determine which are the false positives or not. So this is all things that are included with Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 1. There's also Plan 2 that gives you a few more features here that I'll go over quickly. So again, it includes all the previous features with the addition of a global threat tracker, advanced threat investigation, automated investigation and response, and it gives you a built-in attack simulator. So I'll quickly cover these here. The automated investigation and response, it gives security admins a powerful automatic response and investigation tool that requires little attention outside of setting up the initial playbook that it will follow. It can be triggered automatically or by an analyst in the Threat Explorer. And here are the general steps that it takes. An alert's generated by the attack. An automated investigation runs and gathers more information pertaining to the email, and then reports for the investigation are generated, and it recommends remediation actions to the administrator. And then the security administrator acts upon the recommendation. So you can see all of this is automated. It scans the information that's within your environment and tells you, hey, this is what best practices recommended to prevent this threat or to remediate the threat. The next thing is the global threat tracker. And this provides intelligence on a global scale on different cybersecurity issues that may impact your business. So it just kind of gives you a heads up of what threats are out there. And if something is vulnerable and you have, let's say, a specific server or specific instance running in your environment, then you can take some steps to hopefully mitigate the threat before it may or may not attack your business. It includes noteworthy trackers. So this is their noteworthy threats and risks. They'll help you find whether the issue exists in your environment and links to articles to give you more details. Gives you trending trackers, so it highlights what's new or any new threats received in your organization's emails in the past week. And it allows you to track and save queries, so you can go back to any saved threats that you want to save for future references. The Advanced Threat Investigation gives you a powerful report that enables you to investigate and respond to threats effectively and efficiently. The Explorer allows you to see the report data for up to the last 30 days, and it includes features such as previewing email headers and downloading the email body and email timeline, and you can export URL click data, or you can start an automated investigation and response process. So again, just more features where you can really dive into any threats that may be happening within your environment. And probably my favorite one is the attack simulator. This would be similar to something like a KnowBe4 phishing campaign that you can launch. So it allows you to test your internal company with mock attacks, including credential and attachment spear phishing attacks, a password spray attack, a brute force password attack. And data from your simulations will collect for 30 days and be available to review for up to 90 days. So in addition to being able to send phishing campaigns to your internal users, you can also use to see if people are using non-secure passwords, so that way you can enforce a new password policy or make people change their passwords. And then you get all of the details on, so if you were to send like a phishing campaign, which users clicked on it, and you can remediate those users, provide additional training or whatever you would need to do with them. It can be used for education and to help identify vulnerable users before a real attack happens. So if they're going to click on a phishing email, you'd want it to be, hopefully, you don't want it to be any phishing email, but if they have to click on one, you would want it to be the simulated one, not an actual one. So again, to go over the benefits of both of them, with the Threat Protection Plan 1, you get safe links, safe attachments, anti-phishing, and then that includes it for SharePoint, OneDrive, and Microsoft Teams, and gives you the real-time detections. The Threat Protection Plan 2 gives you the Threat Tracker and the Threat Explorer, an automated investigation and response, and an attack simulator. We recommend all of our clients get at least Plan 1 for the safe links, safe attachments, and anti-phishing. The Plan 2 is really nice to have, but it kind of requires you to have a dedicated security admin that is going to utilize the benefits and the attack simulator. So those are my recommendations on there. So some further protection methods that we want to go over. So all of the things that we've covered are basically your Office 365, kind of your Word, your Excel, your Outlook, your Teams. So within this, there's also Azure Active Directory, and they have a ADP1 or Premium 1. And with this is you can set conditional access policies that allow access to your environment. So setting this up, more and more places we're recommending multi-factor authentication to. I know Dan is on a world tour right now, driving to different clients and getting them to set up multi-factor authentication, showing them how easy it is. So all of the things that we've covered are to hopefully protect these attempts into your environment. So this just gives you another powerful thing. If your credentials do get compromised, if you have multi-factor authentication set up, if they try to enter that password, it's going to require a code from a text or a code from an application. So unless the attacker has that physical device that the user would have, they can't get into your environment. With conditional access policies, you can take this a step further and only allow access to your environment from certain IP addresses or certain countries or between certain times. The Defender for 365 is also part of the Microsoft Zero Trust framework, which is what they're building all of these policies on, including the conditional access policies. So the pillars of the Zero Trust framework are: you want to enact least privilege. So this is making sure that the users in your environment have the proper roles. You don't want to just make everyone global admins or everyone user administrators, because if their accounts get compromised, they would only have access to that user's account and not being able to take your tenant hostage or provide access to things that the user shouldn't have access to. You want to verify explicitly. So this is where your multi-factor and your conditional access policies. You want to make sure that whoever is signing into your environment is exactly who they say they are and not some sort of malicious user. And the last part is you want to assume breach. So this is where your anti-phishing and your attack simulator goes. If you assume that your environment's already breached, what things can you have in place to prevent any further damage from being taken? And outside of utilizing Defender, we cannot recommend multi-factor authentication for your environment enough. So in conclusion, we want to utilize Microsoft's powerful Defender tools. You can ensure extra protection for your environment. If you take advantage of the available tools and resources, they can offer a single pane of glass management console for your security needs, and you can use them for education and to help identify vulnerable users before a real attack happens. The reason with point number 2 is we use another vendor called Barracuda, and they have similar offerings. They're not quite the same, and they do a great job, but when you have so many different vendors and so many different things, you have to train yourself or know how to use or know which portal to log into. Whereas if you allow Microsoft to do this, you're already in the administrator console to add users, to provide mailboxes, to set up groups and things like that. So you have that single pane of glass where you can set up a user and then check your threats in your environment and making sure your policy's in there instead of having to use two different portals. So that is all that I have for my presentation. Is there any other questions or anything else that we want to get into?